The AYANEO Air was one of my favorite handhelds from the past couple of years, but unfortunately I never had the chance to talk about it. Originally I had the AYANEO Air in black and I loved the color. However, I did have an issue with the left joystick and where it would click when I rotated it. Unfortunately, this led to me selling the device as the owner who bought it didn't seem to mind the noise. I did raise the audio volume on this clip just so it was audible on film, but as you can see, it's pretty distracting, and in person, it was still pretty loud. The right joystick, however, was whisper quiet, so I could tell that it was just a bad left joystick. That's a shame really, because the AYANEO Air clicked a lot of boxes for me. It had a nice screen, it was a good weight, the 5560U that I had in it was decent enough for most gaming. It also had some really nice face buttons, and all around, I really liked the unit. The panel was definitely the star of the show though, but I did get some anxiety about getting burn-in on my unit, especially since I like to use it at max brightness. I'm really hoping that down the road they can improve their quality control, as they really have something special here. The AYANEO Air units are definitely one of my favorite handhelds I've ever used. You're really paying for the form factor here, and even with all the issues that I've had on the Air, I still recommend it as it's a great little device and you can do so much on a small little form factor. After selling the original Air model, I got the Pro model with the 5560U in it, and all around, I think I like that one a lot better. However, I did have some panel issues on it, and it had to go back to AYANEO for repairs. Occasionally in games, you would see some little glitching like this, which was really distracting. However, it seemed to be a driver issue, and I was able to remedy that problem. Disconnecting the unit from HDMI, it had a couple different panel issues. This is one that occurred quite often when disconnecting. This would also happen when waking the device from hibernate. It was kind of strange to see, and my guess is just the screen wasn't able to auto adjust to what it was previously. This screen issue was originally recorded for customer service, but as you can see, it definitely had a lot of issues when waking from sleep or turning on from HDMI. This happens so often that I couldn't put up with it anymore, and I reached out to customer service for a replacement. AYANEO does pay for the return shipping with DHL, and apparently they ship it back with DHL as well, and I can take a closer look at the return model when I get it back. Now, when I originally got the Air Pro, they did announce the Air Plus pretty soon after, and it's kind of unfortunate because even before I had the Pro model in hand, they had already announced these. This is pretty typical with AYANEO to outdate their old model with a new one. The pricing on these two models here doesn't make a lot of sense in my mind. They're asking $600 for the 7320U, which is pretty expensive. These were originally cheaper on the early bird pricing, but they only had a couple hundred of those. $269 though, that's a really good deal for what you're getting. Occasionally you'll see one of these two early bird models pop up, usually the AMD Ryzen one, but it's usually just from someone canceling it. If you see one pop up though, I think either of these is great value. As of recording this video, I'm still waiting for my Air Pro to come back, but I do have one of these early bird i3 models, and so far I'm loving it. It's actually the only AYANEO Air model that I haven't had any issues with so far. I really think if they had kept these $269 prices, or even close to that they definitely could have changed the entire handheld market. They do have the Air Plus 6800U up on their store right now, but it is a little expensive at nearly $1,000 US. Although they do have a couple of the older models on sale right now, and I think for 30% off, you can't go wrong, really. A couple of these other models are still really good, and at 30% off, it's probably worth it. Now, of course, the elephant in the room that disrupted a lot of the sales on the AYANEO Air and the AYANEO devices in general is the ROG Ally. Overall, if you're looking for power and you're looking for a bigger device, I really wouldn't recommend anything else. This is, of course, if you want a Windows handheld. I personally really like Windows on a handheld, as I can just dock it and use it as another PC. I also really don't mind Windows, as I can just use Steam Big Picture to get that similar interface from the Steam Deck. As this Z1 Extreme is basically the 7840U, these are pretty much on par with the top of the line models from AYANEO. If you're looking at the 7840U or the Z1 Extreme compared to the 6800U, there is quite a difference between the two. Single-threaded performance definitely has an uplift here, up to 42% multi-core, which is huge. If we're looking at raw GPU performance at 8.12 teraflops, the 3.6 teraflops on the 6800U pales in comparison to the 7840U. That being said, with the launch of the Air 1S on Indiegogo, getting that processor in a small little form factor is remarkable. Best Buy currently lists the ROG Ally at $899 Canadian, which is actually still cheaper than the 1S, but you do get a smaller device, and that form factor might be important to a lot of people. At just over $1,000 Canadian, this 16GB 512 model is probably the one that I would go with personally if I was going to grab it. I think I'm going to wait for the Air Plus, as it has a slightly bigger battery. At just over $150 over what the Ally is, what do you get? Well, you're getting similar performance, but you're getting a smaller device obviously, and that might be important to a lot of people. You're also getting an AMOLED screen, so you're getting perfect black levels, and that looks really nice. They have a couple different SKUs here, and I think even if you manage to get the retail price for $849 US, that's still not a bad deal. But then again, if you don't mind the size, the ROG Ally is probably definitely the way I'd go. The first shipment for the 1S looks like it's supposed to go out at early August. I would take this with a grain of salt though, as they're usually a couple weeks off. I think it's cool how they give out these little backer gifts too, because you're getting a free case and a free screen protector. If you do want one though, I wouldn't recommend the thin one, as that's just going to take a huge hit in your battery life, but that might be important to some people, and if you look at playing under an hour and a half, that's probably fine for you. I have taken the Steam Deck with me to work a few times, but it's just so big. It takes so much space in my bag that I really can't fit much else. If you want small, the AYANEO Air is definitely the way to go. Compared to the ROG Ally and the Steam Deck, it's way smaller too. I find these a lot easier to stick in my bag when I'm heading out to work. The Air also has some nice ergonomics on the back, and the slim model is going to have a little bit better ergonomics. They did kind of show what kind of temperatures we're expecting on this new model here, and I think from what I've seen so far on my i3, these are pretty close to what you can probably expect. I'm likely to skip this model here, as it's just a little bit over what I want to spend on the Air, and the Air Plus coming out soon. I'd rather just save my money and get that, and a bigger battery with it as well. I do really like the colors here though. The black and red looks awesome. So what do you guys think? Are you going to be waiting for the Air Plus to get a bigger battery, or are you cool with the 38 watt-hours in the standard 1S? Obviously, this isn't going to be for everybody, but I think the Air is still a really good unit. I still also think that they really just need to slow down on their product development cycle. These things come out faster than you can actually get them. By the time you get the 1S, they'll probably have the Plus model announced, and they're almost about to ship that too. Also, these are a little expensive still compared to what we can get now with the Steam Deck and the ROG Ally, and that makes them pretty hard to sell. What you're obviously paying for with the Air model in general is a form factor, and that's honestly its biggest selling point. Getting a small device with the 7840U having the same power as the ROG Ally in a small form factor makes it pretty tempting for a lot of people. Do you guys think you'll be picking up one of these, or are you going to wait? I'm curious to see what everybody thinks about this model here, as it kind of just showed up out of nowhere. You also get a lot of extras here too, which makes it pretty worthwhile. As for me, I think I'm going to wait for my Air Pro to come back before I spend any more money on AYANEO devices. I can definitely make a follow-up video reviewing the customer service experience if you guys are interested in that. Let me know in the comments below what you think, and if you've had any experiences with AYANEO customer service. Thanks for watching, and let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. Happy gaming, everyone.